You, Libra, the Libra Aries relationship axis is about functionality, responsibility, being an advocate for your partnership and for relationships in general. So there's like this hostess kind of vibe that, you know, when you, like if people come over, that you're automatic, you want to make sure everybody is validated, has what they need, well taken care of, just at that top level. It's not deep taking care of. It's not like Pisces or Cancer taking care of. It's like this surface level, making sure, it's like pleasantries, making sure everybody has what they need. And there's a lot of pleasant smiling and like, okay, thank you. And, what do you say? Like a, I guess host kind of vibe that comes along with Libra. And then, so we want to be that in the relationship. That's the most important thing. Like, is this relationship, do I feel validated? Am I validating my partner? Do I feel safe and protected? Am I, advocating for my partner to feel safe and protected? Because Aries is a warrior vibe. It's protective, it's fierce, it stands up for whatever it's committed to. So this relationship axis is also the one that is most into commitment. This is the relationship that is like, they want commitment. For you, you'll know that you're in that relationship when the other partner is also like, they want a committed relationship. So what's coming up in my mind is like, when two people meet, there needs to be a common ground. And if it's not the same, say you meet somebody that has a different relationship axis, say they have Pisces, Virgo, then their most important thing in the relationship is being in service to spirit, helping and healing the planet, being an advocate for universal love and compassion. Whereas you, in your relationship, you are wanting to be an advocate for your partner, and you want to have advocacy in the partnership and having commitment to each other. So you can definitely be in partnership with somebody with a different relationship axis. This is just saying that there's going to be different headlines. You know, like the tagline for what I want in a relationship, it's going to be slightly different. So what needs to happen in this case is that you both communicate and talk about that. You say, well, this is my most important thing. I want to be in a monogamous, committed relationship. And I'm not saying that everybody with Libra, Aries relationship axis does want to be in a monogamous relationship, but this is the one that's most likely to do that. Unless they have like Gemini moon or Mars in Gemini, or you know, Scorpio is a lot of times a wild card in relationships. And I'm just looking down to see if you have any of that. You have, no, not really. I wouldn't say. So we'll unfold this more and look more at those other things in a minute. But just to be aware that for you, Libra, Aries, the most important thing is conscious, co-creative, validating each other, having, I think of this relationship as the Leave It to Beaver. It's kind of, it's functional. It works. That's another really important thing, is that it works. And that it's not just working for each other. It's like it's working for everybody involved. There needs to be a function and a pleasantness about the relationship. So let's look at your inner masculine. This is, we're going to look at Mars to get an idea about your inner masculine. And I had mentioned Mars to start off with because you're having a Chiron transit to Mars. We'll get into that in your second reading. This is super crucial timing for your inner relationship, your beloved within, and the Mars-Venus connection that we have within ourselves, balancing masculine, feminine energy. So Chiron coming around during this time is huge for that. Your Mars is in Aries, and this I always call the position that we like our boys to have their Mars in. We as a culture, have expected boys actually to be Mars and Aries. We wanted them to be warriors. We sent them out when they were 15 to go bring back the tigers, the saber, like bring back the tiger's tooth and don't come back until you do. We expect them to be warriors and tough and all of that. So not all boys are. But your Mars is in Aries, which gives me the idea that you do have that competitive, aggressive, assertive edge to you. Whether or not you're in tune with that and tapped into that, that's another story. You might not be. You may have been somehow programmed or trained to think that that was bad, or you were born in 1990, so it's very likely that you were. I was born in 79, and we were really advocating for boys to be warriors and tough and aggressive and assertive and take charge and all of that. By the time you were born in 1990, we might have been, I think so, yeah, at that point being like, oh, you know, which I agree, it is okay to cry and don't be so mean and all. I don't agree with that don't be so mean one, but just because it's, you know, sometimes it's right. There's righteous anger, and there is a time to be mean sometimes. So I'm using the word mean because that is associated with Aries. There is a sharp, direct assertiveness that is Aries. So that's your masculine. And sometimes what can happen, because Mars is the way we project ourselves out into the world. It's the way that we assert our will out into the world, the way that we bring desire to be alive through our body, through our hands, through our speech, through our vision, what we see, we shoot outward. So that's Mars. And you happen to have Aries, which is a very direct, assertive. They actually are like each other. Mars and Aries are the two the zodiac and the planet that are most like each other. So the next thing we're going to talk about is Venus, your inner feminine, or the way that you draw things towards you. So if Mars is the projecting energy that goes outward, Venus is that pull to draw things into you. You can call this longing. This is desire to pull things in. This is the way you magnetize. This is the way you, your allure. And also what you're attracted to, like how you're attractive and what you're attracted to. Venus is known as the planet of love, beauty, pleasure, the sense, you know, enjoying the senses. So sensuality is associated with Venus. And Taurus is it's just like Venus. So you have the two ideal, your Venus is in Taurus, and Taurus is the zodiac sign that is most like Venus. And the same thing goes for your Mars. It's with Aries, which is most like Mars. So I find this to be very interesting because it's the ideal. It's the ideal thing. It's kind of like, I feel like what we would all expect. It fits for you. So your Venus being in Taurus is basically reiterating the fact that the way that you draw things to you has a very sensual longing. There's a aesthetic, like nice hair, nice jewelry and clothes. It wants to feel good, look good. There's sensuality. So eating nice food, having nice drinks, really enjoying the full pleasure of being human. So you may also notice that you're attracted to people that are like that. So what happens here is that it'll either be one or the other. So sometimes if you're really in your Mars and you're really being assertive and aggressive and direct and competitive and all of that, that you would find yourself being attracted to the archetype of Taurus. And then when you're more in your feminine, you're drawing things towards you, you're more in that longing, the deliciousness of Venus. When you're doing that maybe you're more attracted to the Mars archetype. So whatever it is that we are doing as far as Venus or Mars will most likely be attracted to the thing we're not doing. And then it's like, I call it hiring them. So we like say that you're really in your Venus and you're all sensual and into the whole like allure and that the whole feminine thing of Venus. And then you're doing that. And then you notice that you're attracted to these assertive, aggressive types of people and they're direct and competitive. And then you hire them to play out what it is that you inside are wanting to integrate. You're wanting to learn this. It's like, I like you, because secretly you're like me. You're like this part of me that I want to draw out. And having that outer vision of it sometimes helps us to draw it out of ourselves. And what we want to do is recognize that that's what's happening, and then find ways to be more like what we're seeing and what we're experiencing. So if you're finding yourself attracted to somebody who's more assertive, aggressive, and direct, you're like, yes, yes, yes. Okay, I'm going to do that. Like, how can I do that in my own way? So we're not copying them and just doing what they do for the sake of what I'm saying intellectually, like, oh, I need to be that. It's not that. It's that's going to trigger things in you, which oftentimes feels like, oh, I'm so mad because you're being so mean. And we'll call them things and point at them. But what really needs to happen is that we allow their direct assertiveness, whatever those Aries things are that might be happening, that we allow them to trigger us inside, and then let the trigger be the medicine, that now you're triggered and you're gonna, oh, what does this feel like? And why is this happening? Where can I get more into my assertiveness? That's what this whole thing is about. So what we want to do, and what you'll find in that PDF book that I sent you, The Alchemy of Intimacy, there's a lot of material on merging the Venus and Mars within yourself in everyday life. So finding out when I'm in my Mars, what do I like to wear? What is my inner masculine like to do? Does it, playing competitive basketball sports or some kind of sweaty contact sports, boxing or something? When I'm in my Venus and my feminine, what does she like? What does she like to wear? Taurus for Venus loves jewelry, beautiful things. So you're like, okay, how can I dress you today? And then finding ways to have that union happening all the time, where you're doing both. So that way, when you meet somebody, you're not hiring them anymore to fulfill something that you're not doing within yourself. So I'll go ahead and stop here. This is going to like about a 26-minute video. And then I'll pick up in the next reading, getting more in depth on the transits, the connections that Mars has. So that will tell us about how your inner masculine is doing its strategy to connect with other energies in your life, and how you might be able to work with that. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask, and I look forward to connecting with you.